We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's having bad babies.
Rescuing you all from life's luxuries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bar. Yeah.
Yay! Daylight savings time has passed and spring is less than 2 weeks away.
Woohoo!
Park openings are just around the corner and sounds of laughter and screams will be heard in the park once again. I'm Andrew,
And I'm Adam.
and thanks for joining us for a very special episode of Theme Park Families.
So psyched for this episode, as this is really kind of a heartwarming episode, one that we were really excited to do. But before we get into all that, just some thoughts, as the parks are a little bit less than 2 weeks away from opening, some of them at least, and we haven't really talked about some of your expectations for new coasters, new rides this year. All right, so just going through them really quickly. Copperhead Strike, what are you thinking?
I think that's going to be the best coaster.
Okay.
The best one out of all of the ones on our list.
All right, very good. I like that attitude because a lot of people are nervous that it's not going to be fast enough and not intense enough. But with a shed and some interesting elements, including a launch that has an airtime hill in the middle of it, I think it's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
I like that positivity, so psyched for that, and not too long before that opens up. Yukon Striker.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool since it's like a record-breaking dive coaster. Can't wait to ride it.
And the longest one, so
Yes.
it's exciting. Look forward to the dive into the tunnel with the vortex in the lake below you. It's going to be a cool look, so I'm excited for that as well,
Yeah.
to see how different it is from the others. Steel Curtain?
I'm also really excited for this one because not only just the coaster, which looks amazing, but also the new land that's coming there, the football Steelers type land.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much theming they have in terms of like a Steelers Hall of Fame. But I don't think Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are going to be featured in that new area.
Probably not.
As they are now a Jet and a Raider. So kind of interesting timing with the Steelers and ex-Steelers being so much in the news. But that could be absolutely the most unique coaster of all of them, with the world's highest inversion and then some wacky interesting elements. So how smooth that's going to be and what the experience is like, it's, I think, the biggest unknown. Those three we're definitely going to get to. This one, number 4, I hope to get to. No specific plans right now, but I'd love to get back to that park. Max Force at Great America.
That one sounds very intense and stuff. It looks like the launch and stuff. That looks pretty intense.
It's going to be pretty nuts, I think, with the fast launch in those first couple of seconds. It's going to be a pretty intense, if not short, experience, but I look forward to that. West Coast Racers, what were your thoughts?
That looks pretty cool. I think it looks like a larger version of Backlash Stunt Coaster, kind of, without theming.
Yeah, it really does have that feel, although when you say without theming, it does have that midway point where you stop and wait for the other trains to unload. So who knows what level of theming that's going to be. And it looks like we'll be able to get there this year for your first time to California. Thankfully, we're going much later. It looks like early August. So hopefully they're open by then. For the Costa Radio meetup, they might not be quite as lucky, but some cool elements to it. So I think it could be a lot of fun, including some of those inversions where you pass over each other.
Yeah.
And then the whole American Dream project. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
I think it's now delayed to the summer. Our good friend Brian over at Civil Gore said he was just past it. He went to New Jersey recently.
Wow.
And he drove past it and he said they have a lot of work to do, that there's still a lot of stuff that's not ready.
A good sign.
The good sign is that there's plenty of track in. I'm still psyched. I think that's a great list of new rides that are coming and can't wait to get there.
One of the best years, I think.
Yeah, I
Park.
thoroughly agree. And that's without even talking about any of the Universal stuff, including Hagrid's coaster and more details that have come out. So I'm sure we'll talk about that more soon as well. But you've got the Hagrid coaster, and then you've got the Star Wars land and so many other things as well. It's just a great year. So before getting into our heartwarming part, let's hit up some news.
If not riding coasters will give you the blues, it's Andrew's news.
Six Flags Over Texas might lose 2 water rides soon. Yosemite Sam Gold River Adventure Dark Flame ride has deteriorated for a while, hurt by floods from a few months back. But reports are that the Aquaman Shoot the Chutes ride days might be numbered after it was left off the park's website. The same fate is in store for Over Georgia's model, which did not open last year.
You remember where Over Georgia Shoot the Chute was back there? Kind of near the kids' Superman area. That was just sitting there and wasn't open at all, and that's going to be taken out. You had Carowinds Shoot the Chutes that was taken out to make room for Copperhead Strike, and Carowinds River Ride, which looks like it is probably done forever unless they're going to restore it, but probably not. So interesting how this is the kind of theme to getting rid of water rides in parks. What do you think about that happening?
I mean, well, for a lot of theme park enthusiasts, they say, like, yes, 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 because they don't want other people going to, like, water rides and going in on, like, coasters and then getting the seat all wet. But, I mean, like, for when it's, like, really hot days in, like, the summer, people could get very hot. And if there's no, like, water park at that park, then...
Well, it's an interesting point because all the parks we just talked about between Over Georgia and Texas and Carowinds are extremely hot parks in the summer, but then they do have water parks as well. So that is a good point that if they didn't have a water park, then that could be problematic. But I think it's sad that Yosemite Sam's is going to close up, as it looks like that was a ride that received such great damage from those floods. And who knows if they'll redo another dark ride that's maybe less susceptible to flooding. So we'll see. But we liked that ride and thought it had pretty fun theming that all kind of still worked, even though people said it was way better back in the day.
High winds during a storm at Energylandia in Poland damaged 3 different wooden support sections of their new roller coaster under construction named Zadra, which is an RMC iBox model. On the bright side, reports are that insurance is going to cover losses, but sadly, this will delay the opening of the coaster potentially by many months.
And so, originally it was supposed to be opening 2020, and then they pushed it ahead, saying that it would be done for this year. But now, after this damage, it still hasn't really come out exactly how much time this is going to set them back by. I just showed you a little bit of the details from this park and this coaster, and it's amazing how much they've done recently, adding a new hyper coaster. That looked great. And then adding this RMC, which is the world's first iBox ground up coaster here, which is going to be around 70 miles per hour. And well, 70 miles per hour is important here, as that was how high the winds were. And from all reports are that coasters, once completed, can withstand much higher wind than that, like many Florida coasters that lived through hurricanes without any damage. But since it was not fully completed, that it wasn't as strong as it would be once completed. So kind of sad, but we probably won't get to Poland anytime soon, so it won't necessarily affect us. But for our European listeners, and we probably have thousands of them, right?
I doubt it.
Tens of thousands, you're saying?
Probably.
Or millions?
Yeah, more than millions.
More than millions. So for the millions of our European listeners, it might take them a little bit longer to ride it, but it looks like a really cool coaster. Checking out the POV, it definitely has some Steel Vengeance type elements to it, so it should be a great ride. But interesting what wind can do to a coaster when not completed. Yeah.
The Columbus Zoo has announced that they are adding 2 new rides to Jungle Jack's Landing: Falcon Fall, a 50-foot drop tower, and Sugar Glider, a classic paratrooper style ride for the 2019 season. Add that to a coaster and massive water park, one of the nation's top zoos is certainly a destination park.
Interesting. So Chris from Columbus, our good buddy, talks about the Columbus Zoo plenty, and it gets such high reviews.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a really nice place, and that water park looks pretty massive, and I know that's extremely popular there. And they have a mini credit there, a junior roller coaster, and now that they're adding a 50-foot drop tower ride can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The one that we started with at Six Flags America, that little tiny drop tower, is way shorter than that. So that can add some interest to it. So it's really cool, and that's definitely a park that we want to get to at some point, since we do head to that Columbus area quite often when going to Kings Island or heading through to get to Holiday World. So at some point we'll definitely get to that park, but cool to see that they're adding more and more rides as time goes on. That'd be great if they can mix the two.
Yeah.
Like ride the drop tower with a lion, do the coaster with a hyena, something like that.
Gosh.
Good idea?
They'd probably poop on the ride.
You think that's the biggest problem if the animals poop on the ride? It's not like them eating you while riding. No, it's just the poop is what you're worried about. Like monkeys. Monkeys like to fling poop around, so that's something they do. So that's your biggest concern. All right, so maybe that's not the best idea, because that cleanup for the janitor crew wouldn't be all that nice. So we are all about fun at theme park families, but the last 2 weeks have really been pretty special in our short time as a podcast. We love doing interviews and talking about our experiences, and we've had a lot of fun episodes like that. But 2 Wednesdays ago, we had the pleasure of spending time online for about an hour-long video with Clint from In the Loop, a good buddy of ours, for a very special purpose. And that was to help raise money for Give Kids the World. Something we knew about loosely, but we know a lot more about it now, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Old episodes of Coaster Radio talked about coasting for kids at Kennywood, like way over a decade ago. I know that Clint and Mike and one of the others from Coaster Radio were a part of Coasting for Kids there. And so we heard about it, but I don't think we had a lot of descriptions of exactly what that was for, what Coasting for Kids helped to fund. So it was great to learn so much more about it now. And for that hour-long video, we were just blown away by the support of numerous friends who donated that night, including Mark and Natalie from M&N Amusements on YouTube, good online friends of ours who are looking forward to meeting at Hollywood Nights, who donated an incredible amount and have done so at coaster events that they've gone to at Kings Island and Cedar Point, which helped to fund kids' charities as well. Our buddies Nathan and Steve donated as well, and I know there were a number of other people as well, so we can't thank all of you enough who helped us that night. Who else are we thinking? Andrew Hyde, exactly, from In the Loop as well, a fellow guitar enthusiast like yourself, and a gentleman who we met at Cedar Point. So to everyone who donated, whether it was through us or through Clint, it was just incredible. And not to brag or anything, because that's not our style, right? We would never brag about anything.
No.
But our amounts blew away the amounts from the 2 previous guests that Clint had on the 2 previous Wednesdays. I forget as of right now who those 2 guests were. Do you remember who was on the first 2 weeks? Mike from who?
Coaster Radio.
Oh, Mike from Coaster Radio week 1. And then in week 2 we had?
Reese and
Reese and Taylor from Coaster Studios. And absolutely, we blew them out of the water, even though it's not a competition, but we're all helping out for the good of these kids. And so we were happy to do as well as we did. And that's all to all of you guys who helped us out with that. And we said if we got past a certain amount, even just beating the previous 2 weeks, that we would do something special. And within the first 5 minutes of the episode, we had beaten that. So what special thing did you do on the video? Well, just before that recording, the day before, we had the pleasure to interview Steven Amos and learn so much more about this wonderful endeavor. He works for Give Kids the World, and it was really great to connect with him and learn so much more about what Give Kids the World does. So let's take a listen to the interview that we wound up doing. Well, over the last year and a half, Bud, we've interviewed and met a lot of special, unique, and powerful people in the theme park industry, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, pretty much.
And theme parks are a place of joy, fun, and wonder. And today, we'll learn that the industry can mean so much more than just that. In that spirit, we are so happy to have Steven Amos on the show, Manager of Development and Sales for Give Kids the World. Thanks for taking so much time out of your busy schedule to join us today, Steven.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Before we get into the noble venture, we know that you have quite a background in amusement parks. Can you give us a bit of your history in amusement park industry?
For sure. I started working at Walt Disney World on my college program there. So when I was about 19 years old, I worked at Voyage of the Little Mermaid, which is a live stage show, as well as One Man's Dream, which is the walkthrough attraction about the life of Walt Disney. And then I went back to college, I graduated, and I came back to the company where I worked in attractions a little bit longer, transitioned over to Disney Cruise Line, and I opened up the Disney Dream and the Disney Fantasy ships for the marketing team. From there, I moved over to media operations, where I helped manage things such as the ABC Christmas Day Parade or the Chew, America's Funniest Home Videos. I was on the project that when we shot the new Soarin' video for Epcot. That was one of my projects. And then my last year at Disney, I was a producer for any of the print collateral. So like the Slinky Dog billboard that's on the highway was one of the last projects that I produced for them before coming over full-time to Give Kids the World.
So you went into that industry, in Disney specifically. Did you grow up being a big Disney fan, and is it someplace you went a lot as a kid?
Yeah, for sure. Big Disney fan my whole life. Probably went to Disney World once every 3 years as a kid. I'm pretty sure my mom was the one that really pushed me in the direction to doing the Disney College program. Never really had a thought about it. Never even really knew it was a thing. But my mom said, rather than going abroad for a year, why don't you just go to Disney World? And timing worked out.
And not to put you on the spot, but favorite Disney ride?
Ooh, it would probably, I'm a sucker because Hollywood Studios, even through all of its changes, and it's still probably Rock and Roller Coaster. Just that instant launch feel, you never get tired of that.
Very cool, and we hope to experience that at some point, right, bud?
Yep.
Then transitioning then, how did you get involved with Give Kids the World?
Walt Disney World partners really closely with Give Kids the World. Just the overall wish for Give Kids the World is either to go to Walt Disney World, Universal Studios, or SeaWorld, among other things. So we have a lot of volunteer activities, opportunities when we worked at Walt Disney World. So it was almost unfortunate that they let me volunteer 150 hours in 1 year at Give Kids the World.
Wow.
And the position that I'm in right now at the Village is solely focused on all of our amusement partners here, both locally as well as internationally. So I get to work with these awesome partners like Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, but Six Flags, the Cedar Parks, and then even later this year I'll be going to Shanghai and Paris because of our international reach there also. So never thought I'd leave the Walt Disney Company, but the experiences that I'm having here at Give Kids the World, it's absolutely incredible.
And it's great that you're still involved in some way. I'm sure you get plenty of opportunities to get to Disney, so it's not like you're separated in that way.
I'm very, very lucky that my wife still works for the company, and I get the spouse pass. So I get all the same benefits. So my son and I can go in together for free.
So at his age, as he's still pretty young, how is he experiencing the park at this age?
When we were out in Europe this past year, we took the risk of flying our, at the time, 1-year-old out to Amsterdam, and then we had the opportunity to go to Disneyland Paris. And it was the first time we ever tried any rides there. It gave me a lot of respect for things like Small World, because he has one of those attractions as an adult, as a teenager, you think it's really boring, you want them to rip that out, put it in a more thrilling ride. But through his eyes, that was the most thrilling attraction you could have. He couldn't look at enough things. It was a re-rideable kind of thing for us, so it made me really appreciate, the slower, smaller rides that exist in these theme parks, especially a lot of these type of dark rides are just kind of driving through scenes. It was encouraging. We're going to be taking him to Epcot here the next week to go ride the Figment attraction and, the Seas one with Nemo. So just some Omni-Mover type attractions.
That's great. So starting out, and it's a really good point there that there's a target audience for every ride, that not everything is high thrills or crazy special effects, that they're 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-olds are a target audience as well. So that's very...
He's not going to be wearing any 3D glasses anytime soon.
Exactly. No rush to get to that point.
Some audience members know the story of Give Kids the World really well. But for those who aren't as well informed, can you give us a brief history of how it got started and some of the services the organization now provides?
Yeah, for sure. We started about 32 years ago. And the whole backstory is that before Give Kids the World, there really wasn't a uniform system for how a wish child would come down here to Orlando. It was a lot of independent, Make-A-Wish or Dream Factory that they would contact Walt Disney World locally, explain the situation, and it would all be one-off situations. You can imagine half of the wishes in the world want to go to either Universal Studios here in Orlando or Walt Disney World.
Wow.
Which means that we see 8,000 wishes a year. So when our founder, Henry, was the general manager of a hotel here in Orlando, Florida, it was helping fulfill wishes, but noticed that there was a big time gap between when we were there finding out about the wish and to when they're actually arriving here. And the unfortunate truth that not all the children were making it to that time, and they needed to be an expedited process for that. So he started Give Kids the World, which at the time was just 8 villas that welcomed the families and provided theme park tickets to the surrounding area. We've now grown to 167 two-bedroom villas here, and the number keeps growing. And while they're here, every family gets a 1-week vacation, and everything's included, from their flight, car rental, park tickets, food, gift cards. Everything is free for them. They get 3 days at Walt Disney World, 2 days at Universal, a day at SeaWorld, and then they have the opportunity to go to places like Busch Gardens in Tampa, Kennedy Space Center, Legoland, Gatorland. All of our surrounding partners also give free tickets to them. So it really is an ultimate wish that you get front-of-the-line access, free parking, free strollers. It is absolutely an incredible experience, and it'll be the best week of their lives.
Which is just so incredibly impressive to be able to provide them with that. And I'd have to believe that in the offices and among the workers and volunteers, that original Amy story is such a big part of the fabric of why you do what you do.
Yeah, and there's 165,000 unique stories here at the Village, because that's the number of wishes that we fulfilled. And I said that number, it unfortunately grows every year at a faster rate. The great thing is, by working with partners like you and all these events that we do across the country, that we've never said no to a wish before, and we're always able to accommodate them. So we can welcome a wish within 12 hours. So they can come, we can get a call right now, and they can be here tomorrow, and we can be fulfilling that wish for them. So it's that, expedited thing that we're talking about, where it doesn't take months anymore. It can really be the next day they can be here.
That's amazing that you're able to do it that quickly. Wow.
We'll get to the story of the people, which is the most important part of the story. But can you take us on a little audio tour of the Village and some of the unique
parts of the Village? Yeah, we just watched a little video in preparation and saw it really is an incredible facility, and I'm sure not everyone is familiar with what it looks like, but just some of the biggest features, some of the special things you have there at the Village.
Yeah, and it took me quite a few years of being a cast member at Walt Disney World to do my first volunteer shift at Give Kids the World, and I really just thought it was a building that had a lot of great amenities, more of just a hotel. To put the scope of the size of Give Kids the World, it's the size of Disneyland. And we are 84 acres, and it is an all-inclusive resort for kids. And that starts off with Amberville, which is our big arcade area. We have 4 attractions, rides that kids who are in wheelchairs can actually transfer onto the attraction with their wheelchair. So a Dumbo type ride, a Happy Swing, we have a carousel, we have a train that goes around there. We have 2 big pools there. We have a movie theater that runs first-run Disney movies, so when Star Wars or Mary Poppins comes out in movie theaters, we get it also. We also have ice cream is available at 7:30 in the morning every day of the week, because we think all kids should be eating ice cream for breakfast.
You're okay with that?
We have a basketball court. We have one of the world's largest accessible playgrounds, where wheelchairs can actually get to the second story of it from 2 different sections of it all.
Okay.
And then mixed into there is the big holiday overlay that happens here at the Village. We know that a lot of kids have been seeking treatment in hospitals, haven't been able to experience Christmas the same way as everybody else. So we make sure that every day of the week is a different holiday. So the big thing is, everyone loves Thursdays. It's Christmas. So we have a parade there with floats. Santa comes. We have a toy shop where all the kids can get unwrapped toys. It's a big atmosphere event. But we also do Village Idol on Wednesdays, Mondays, Halloween. We do a Pirates and Princess party on Friday. So it really is more than just come here, stay for the night, and go out to the parks. We try to give them that experience here at the Village too.
And I have a feeling with that much land that there's still plenty of room for expansion in the future.
We're kind of like Disneyland, where we're running low on land.
Wow, okay.
We're going to be building 48 more villas in the next probably 5 to 10 years here. And from there, we'll actually be almost full utilization on the main land of it. We own different parcels throughout the road that we're on. And in that scenario, we might just move some administrative office off-site, but that would put us at over 200 villas, which would mean we'd be fulfilling over 10,000 wishes a year, which is something that in our wildest dreams we never imagined to be the case.
Oh, that's just amazing, that kind of growth over the years. That's so impressive. Well, there's an amazing list and number of fundraising events that Give Kids the World puts on every year. Can you take us through some of your favorite events and some of the biggest ones that really help out the most in terms of fundraising?
Yeah, for sure. Selfishly, my favorite event is the one that I'm working on.
Understandably.
Which is Co-Scene for Kids.
Yes.
It's an event that existed for 9 years. It kind of wrapped up in 2015. It went dormant for a little while. This is the year that I'm bringing it back, and it's the biggest year we've ever had it. We have 16 theme parks participating in it, and the event is essentially, you fundraise $100 for Give Kids the World. That theme park will open up their gates for free on a particular day. And on top of that, they'll provide early admission to that park, so you can get some exclusive ride time on those roller coasters. But we've also been doing a speaker series at the Village that started this year, where we've been hosting Disney Legends. So In January, we hosted both Lee and Dan Cockrell here. Last week, we hosted Ron Logan, who was the creator of Illuminations. And he also made Phantasmic, Spectro Magic. He founded Disney Broadway. So we have a huge alignment with all these Disney legends, and we have about 5 more on the books throughout the year. So what I always tell my wife is that if I have to be working on the weekend or working late nights, I want them to be events that I really love.
Right.
Luckily, I'm a theme park junkie, so all those types of things are in my wheelhouse. But other things that if you're not a big theme park guy, is we host a 5K here at the Village every December. And it's the one opportunity throughout the year that you can come see the Village because the Village is not accessible to the public. It's just for the families. But that 5K takes you through the entire Village, running the course. So it's a great opportunity. We do that usually the first Saturday of December. You can always just go to the Give Kids the World website. We have an events tab on there, and we're always doing something. Our big goal with Coasting for Kids, though, is that we're going to markets that are outside Florida, which is something that we don't always do. So we're going to be in 12 different states. I'll be in all 12 of those states, too, because I'm traveling to all 16 of those events this year.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, we'll get to the Coasting for Kids here in a second and talk about some of those specific areas that you'll be. But with that, I think I saw something on social media with you of the Over the Edge event. Was that actually you that was involved in the activity?
Yeah, so it's a very unique event that we do. So we partner with the company called Over the Edge, as well as the Hyatt Regency here in Orlando. It's a 32-story building. For people who fundraise $1,000 for Give Kids World, they're able to rappel off the rooftop of the building. It's the second year that we did it. We'll be doing it again next February. I always was the kind of person to try to figure out a way not to do it, but the opportunity rose this year where I was able to go over the edge with one of our good friends with Diz Unplugged. Charles Boda went over with me. So it's a very interesting experience. It's very tunnel vision, and I don't remember a lot of the moment. There's a reason why I didn't put the GoPro on my helmet. I don't want to relive that moment. So it's definitely a thrill seeker event, and it's very unique. You know, there's a bunch of people at that pool deck who are just like couldn't understand why. You know, the first person who went over the edge was Santa Claus.
Okay.
So you know, it's this the middle of February, and it's 70 degrees, and you see Santa rappelling off the rooftop at 4 p.m. It's
something you don't see every day.
Because Santa Claus totally hung out with us, and then Santa Claus, it was a Thursday, so he went here to the Village to make sure he could see all the children too. So this kind of tells the story for us.
That's a wild moment. And Santa Claus, he's used to heights anyway. He's in his sleigh thousands of feet in the air and on rooftops all over.
That's I mean it's he was sweating a little bit more than usual, but I think he did a really good job.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, we think it's really important to give credit to the number of corporations and companies that donate goods and services and money to Give Kids the World. What are some of those that help make this whole venture happen? As we know, there are a few key ones.
Yeah. So a lot of people, of course, know the Wish partner being, Walt Disney World, Universal, and SeaWorld. All of those partners provide the theme park tickets to us. Disney also, for example, and Universal, they send characters to the Village in the morning, so you can meet Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Goofy, Mary Poppins, and Belle a couple times a week, because there's the Fast Pass lines and the parks are sometimes challenging with characters, so they just send the characters here to the Village.
Oh, that's great.
It's similar with Universal, and then on Wednesday, SeaWorld does a live video with a trainer with the dolphins, so you can actually interact with them during breakfast, which is really cool. And then, Disney actually also does all of our laundry here, so their textile services vehicles are here. They do our pest management, they do our telecom services, so, a lot of our partners do go above and beyond. But something that not everybody knows is that the food here at the Village, we have 3 different restaurants here. We have Katie's Kitchen, Nancy's Kitchen, and Mama Mary's Pizza. But most people don't realize that Perkins and Boston Market are Nancy's, the 2 kitchens there also. So they fundraise throughout the year for us. So you'll probably see National Pancake Day coming up here in September. And it's a day where Perkins says, pancakes are free, you tip whatever amount you want. And all of that money actually goes to Give Kids the World, and that's how they pay for about 40,000 different meals throughout the year for the family. So incredible partnerships like that. And then Hasbro, for example, they actually presented us with a $500,000 check this past year during the whole Marvel release. But they're the ones that provide all the toys for the kids during Christmas, as well as they operate the Rockin' Spa for us in the G.I. Joe gym.
Oh, that's great.
So we don't let any company brand themselves here at the Village. It's all named after wish children or people who've had an impact here at the Village. It's great to see the generosity of these companies who are doing it out of their heart and not trying to just get a corporate branded event here.
Oh, that is terrific. And I think Avis as well provides some transportation to help out.
The properties, we have great airline partners. I mean,
that's great.
The list goes on. I mean, something that's kind of incredible also. I mean, talking about just theme parks, when a wish child leaves Give Kids the World, they're given something called the World Passport. It allows them free admission to 150 different theme parks throughout the world for 12 months. So they can go to any Busch Gardens, they can go to any Cedar Fair park, they can go to Sesame Place. So it extends the wish for an extra year. Because most of those theme parks are typically not the number one wish, but they want to be part of the wish. So that's an opportunity where these wish families then go to 30 more parks over 52 weeks because it's all free. But that's just the great relationships that we have throughout the world.
So special. And so thinking of Coasting for Kids as will be coming up here this year, do you want to talk about some of the special locations that you'll be and what will happen in the event when people see you there?
Yeah, we're kicking off the event this year at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. That's on March 23rd. That park has gone above and beyond. So that's on the opening day of their season, which I could not believe they'd be wanting to have another event on top of opening day. So that park will normally open at 10 o'clock in the morning, but at 7:30, there's going to be a light breakfast, and then we start exclusive ride times on 4 different coasters between 8 and 10. So, and then on the right at park open, we transition into a 5th coaster. So you can really pick off a lot of the main rides in the park. And that's the kind of the pattern we're going to be seeing all the way through September 1st, where Kennywood will be the last event that we're doing. And incredible enough that they're giving us steel curtains.
Oh, great.
As the ERT for that one, which is, that ride's not even done being built yet. So we're, selfishly, I'm excited. That's a good way to end the year because I know there's going to be a lot of coaster groups that want to have that ride exclusively to themselves. And it's great that Kennywood is an amazing partner with us.
Well, that's terrific because this can't be done without the park. So the fact that they are so great to work with, I'm sure makes your job a lot easier. Yeah,
and because they incur the cost, which is incredible. So they're allowing the admission for free as well as bringing in the operators and the engineers in early. And Busch Gardens, for example, they even have their own incentive program. So if you raise $250, you get to do a Coaster 101 tour. Well, they'll take you in the maintenance bay of a couple of the coasters. So, things that they don't have to do, but they are just that incredible where they offer that without us even asking. It's that warm feeling that, you understand that they're there for the right reasons and they support the mission.
So incredibly special. That is great. So you would consider yourself not only a Disney lover, but also a coaster enthusiast? Can we go to that level and say that?
I am for sure.
Okay.
I was selfishly, I stayed within my Disney lane for so many years. And I've had the opportunity to travel to some American Coaster Enthusiast events throughout the season.
Oh, great.
Unfortunately, they've all been in the winter months where it's been snowing and not any coaster riding yet this year. But I love it, and I got to go out to the Golden Ticket Awards this past year at Silver Dollar City.
Yes.
So we had the incredible opportunity to ride, the new
Time Traveler. Yeah. What did you think?
So smooth. It's amazing. It's funny because when I ride, I'm not the best with the coaster lingo. And when I rode it, I was with a bunch of ride engineers who, man, when they talk technical, and I was like, that turn was great. And then they have a bunch of terms and slang for that. I was like, I don't speak your language.
Just nodding.
I'm slowly learning it all. But the cool thing about these coaster enthusiast groups is that they are they're so passionate about everything that they do, but they have such big hearts. I mean, they've been so welcoming of Give Kids a World when we've been able to speak at all these events. And then even online, how they rally for the fundraising, the friendly competition against the groups. I mean, it's just, again, there's a different level of satisfaction from working at Disney World to working here because it's just, you see the goodness in people and it's so warm. It's just a great feeling.
Which makes going to work every day a joy in a lot of ways, I'm sure.
Absolutely incredible, yeah.
So we asked you your favorite Disney ride, and so since we know you like coasters now, we'll put you on the spot for your favorite coaster then.
So it's going to sound, I'll give you a couple options on this one.
You can go Disney and non-Disney if you want.
Well, I'll go non-Disney. Well, for Disney, it's Rock and Roller Coaster, but then I also love Everest. Well, there's not, honestly, there's not that many coaster options at Disney World. I mean, they're talking one a park there, and Epcot doesn't even have one yet.
That's true.
They'll have the Guardians one soon, which, by the way, one of the cool opportunities, if you ever run a Run Disney race, they run the middle of the night. I mean, you start the race at 5:30 in the morning. On marathon weekend, you could see into the construction site for the new Guardians coaster. You could just see the lift in the launch, which is, the scope of the building. It's a 15-story building, which the pictures don't do its justice. I mean, it's taller than Spaceship Earth when you walk by it or you run by it. So that one will be incredible. I love Time Traveler. Thought that was a great new coaster. I thought that was smooth, and I rode it in all the different vehicles because we had exclusive time, and we didn't even need to get off really. Six Flags Great America was my hometown park, even though I'm from Wisconsin. We don't have a lot of rides, and I'm a sucker for Raging Bull just because it was one of my first coasters I ever did. The personal connection with that one, and then Zip and Pippin at Bay Beach. And that truly is my hometown park. And we didn't even have a roller coaster growing up. And I'm so glad that they bought that, restored it. The history behind that one of how, it costs, almost nothing to buy, but the city spent nearly $3 million to rehab it and bring it up there. I mean, 100-year-old coaster. So I love the history, and I'm glad my community was the one that stepped up to the plate, because you don't hear about that happening that often.
Right.
So, and the name Zip and Pippin, I mean, come on, that's...
And the connection to Elvis, right?
That's like the one story that everyone always talking about, Zip and Pippin, like Elvis wrote it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, at Disney World, every celebrity's ridden every ride, but yeah, like Elvis rode Zip and Pippin.
It's amazing that that's truly what it's known for, but I've heard great things about it. Raging Bull, I think, is fascinating. It's the most different B&M hyper coaster there is. It is so unique in that way, so I think that is a fun coaster that Andrew's going to finally get on this year, and that was Andrew's 200th coaster. Time Traveler was his 200th that he was just in the Ace magazine for, and what a unique, great, as you said, smooth, and every single ride is different, and that's what we loved about it. You never get the same ride twice.
Now, did you wait for the 200th one to be that experience, or was that a coincidence?
Yeah. We planned it out. Yeah. So.
Oh, good.
It worked out pretty well that we knew we were going to Silver Dollar City for the Coaster Radio meetup, and we manipulated so that we'd be able to have Time Travelers the 200th. So that was pretty neat.
You've done 3 more coasters than I have in my life, so I'm very proud of you, bud.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's probably around 230, 225 by now, so yeah, he's doing pretty well for his age.
Well, this summer, man, I'll be cranking out with 16 theme parks.
Oh my gosh.
It'll have to go fast for me, because the way my schedule is working for those, I'll fly out the night before, and then I fly out that same Saturday night.
Okay.
But I'll take advantage of all the ERTs that I can get. The tricky one being Frontier City. They're the only ones doing after park close. So you'll be able to ride everything in the dark at Frontier City, which will be a lot of fun.
Just get very friendly with the general manager, and he'll take you right to the front line in each one. You can do all the coasters in like 20 minutes if you know the right people, and I think you can hook that up.
We just got the artwork for our VIP. This is what the credentials will look like for coasting for kids.
Oh, that looks great.
It was just developed an hour ago, so...
hot off the presses.
Maybe I'll wear my VIP badge a little longer than I should and confuse some operators to get on rides.
I like it. You have to take advantage. You have limited time. And who knows, by the end of the summer, you could be at like 300 coasters at that rate. We have one more question to wrap up, so Andrew's going to ask that one.
Is it possible to give a whole story a more personal touch? To give us a few examples of interactions you've had with kids and families over the years which really touched you?
Yeah, so I said there are so many stories at Give Kids a World. The one that has a good connection with something that it was a Disney story. So it happened while I was still at Walt Disney World, and I knew the story afterwards. But it just speaks highly of the caliber of training that cast members get at Walt Disney World. And the story goes that there was a wish child girl who wanted to meet Minnie Mouse for her wish, and she had the incredible opportunity to do it. Disney goes above and beyond and will set up private character meet and greets for Wish children if it's specifically for their wish. They actually have the Wish Lounge at Magic Kingdom for the Wish kids there. And they were there for the 3 o'clock parade, and they were struggling to jockey for a position to get to the front. And luckily, a cast member recognized that they were wearing the Give Kids a World button, which they all wear that identifies them that they're on their trip, and went above and beyond, took that family, and brought them to the VIP location, which is on the Liberty Square Bridge. So between the Liberty Square Main Street, there's a little pod that's just for VIP seating, which is awesome. And all the characters on the bridge, there's only seating on the right hand side, so all of the characters always walk on the right side, meet with all the families while they're going there. So it's incredible. And this cast member went out and got them churros, because that was part of the thing. So like I said, he stepped up to the plate, and it was the best thing that he could do, because the child slipped into a coma that night and never came back out of that coma, and actually ended up passing away while she was on her wish trip there. And all the family wanted to do the next morning was go back to Magic Kingdom, find that cast member, thank them for, recognizing that moment, giving it to her, giving her the best moment she could have towards the end of her life there. But that speaks volumes about the kind of cast members, how they can go above and beyond. They're empowered to do something like that. And it made me proud to be part of an organization when I was there, to know that that's encouraged. And it also makes me really happy now to be at Give Kids a World, to know that we're providing them a wish and setting them up for success while they're here. So the family's forever grateful for both Walt Disney World and for Give Kids a World. And it's a sad story, but it's great that her last day was an incredible experience for the whole family.
Wow, what a powerful story. And as a pretty stoic guy as I am, there's nothing that touches my heart more as a father of 3 of ever hearing stories of kids who are sick and maybe don't have much time left, and a company like this that can give kids hope and love and happiness in those last few moments or years, whatever it happens to be. Yeah. It's just such a wonderful thing, and it's more than words can express and more than money can accomplish. So it's just so incredible the work that you all do there.
I traveled with my president Pam for 3 days, and she spoke in many different settings, and I was in the room for every single one of those times. And like you said, I'm pretty stoked. I would never say I ever cried when I heard a story. Mm-hmm. After I had my son, who said now I was 18 months old, she can make me cry every time she speaks, and I can hear the same story twice, and I can still do that. It's because I put myself in the position now as a father when I hear the stories, and I know that the reason why I'm happy to be at the Village is that, I'd still come home from Disney on certain days and say that, my job's hard, you complain about my boss, complain about pay. Then you come to the Village and you meet these families, and the road that they traveled to get here is paved so much more differently than how my life is. My son was born on his due date, healthy weight, no complications, and I still stress when he has a cough. But it puts it all in perspective for me, so that when I go home at night now, I realize that, there are things in my life that I'm blessed and I shouldn't be complaining about. So it was just a huge, almost a big shakeup in my life I'm happy to be where I am. And it's it only takes to meet one family here, to kind of realize that. But we see 8,000 of them a year. So it's all about perspective for me now in my life.
And to imagine the stress that they have, not only with their kid, but financially, knowing they're dealing with bills and all those other things that come with the medical expenses. And here they're able to have a week to put that all away. You see the stress and tension leave them for a little bit, and they don't have to worry about a single penny. And so that's why all these donations and events are so very important. And so tonight, when we are on live with Clint Novak on his page, our hopes are to raise as much as we can as well, and in some ways do our part.
Clint's incredible. Clint's been an incredible partner for over 10 years for the Village. I've got to travel to a couple of different ACE events this year, and that man is just a ball of energy. Yep. I love him, and I'm excited to be able to see him again in March. And he said he's a really, really good ambassador for the Village.
Yeah, he really is terrific, and he has a kind heart, and he's so kind he even likes the 3 of my kids, which is is saying a lot. So he's a great guy that way. While we're wrapping this up, any social media / websites that you can let us know about so that people can look to volunteer and or donate?
Yeah, so you can go to givekidstheworld.org. On there, if you're interested in volunteering, there's a tab for that. We need 1,700 volunteers a week to make this place function, so we rely on a lot of people like that. Like I said, there's also the events tab, and that's where you can find out more about, coasting for kids, our 5K. If you want to rappel off the rooftop of a building, that's also available on there for you too.
I do that.
That's a one-stop shop for us.
Oh, well, that is terrific. So everyone definitely go check that out. And we know this is a really busy time of the year for you, so we thank you so much for your time, and we at Theme Park Families hope that in some small way that we've been able to help other families to find some joy. And we thank you so much, Steven, for all the work you do, and we might be able to see you at the Darien Lake event, because that's right in our part of the world.
That's awesome. May 11th. That one's going to be a really good event.
It's a guarantee. We will absolutely make the time to get there. So we look forward to seeing you and volunteering. If ever you had quick transportation from Ithaca, New York to Orlando to be able to do it, we would be there in a heartbeat. But who knows? We'll get to Florida at some point.
Trust me, my whole family's a Cornell family. So I definitely know the ins and outs of Ithaca. I actually spent a couple summers living there.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, I can totally feel for you guys right now, but I know the trade-off is you get such beautiful summers there.
That's true, exactly. So I'm not complaining in any way. Oh, it was great to talk to you, and we look forward to meeting you. And thank you so much for your valuable time.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
So that was awesome. Thanks so much, Steven, for sharing with us. And we really hope to get to Florida to get to meet you at some point. If you go onto Clint Novak's Facebook page, you can check out the video that we did where we had some entertaining discussions and Andrew gave a little jam on his guitar and sang for us meeting our goal and blowing that out the water, and especially Clint, who also donated a huge amount that night as well. So thanks to Clint for everything he does, and over the years he's been such a great contributor, and we'd love to get to some of the events and hopefully at some point, even though you guys are too young to do it, get down to Florida to volunteer and help out. Wouldn't that be very cool?
Yep.
So as scouts, you and Alex spend a lot of time giving back to the community through food banks and other activities. So this is just another way to give back and do something that you really love doing through the scouts. Now that you just had a big event with scouts last week, what ended up happening?
Yeah, I crossed over from scouts to Boy Scouts.
And so that's a pretty exciting event because this is year number what for you now?
4.
So you put a lot of work into it, all that you do with the badges and helping out the community and all the skills that you have to accomplish, the camps that you go to. It's a lot of work when you consider you're also an athlete and play a bunch of sports in school and run a little podcast. It's a lot of stuff that you wind up doing. So I'm very impressed with you and congratulations for moving on to Boy Scouts. That is awesome. For our ride of the day for this week, we chose to do Windseekers by Mondial, the 301-foot swing ride that came to Cedar Fair. The different models in 2011 were the first 4, and then the second 2 came in 2012. And interesting, as I checked it out to see how much they cost, $5 million were the first 4, and then $6.5 were the second 2. Kind of interesting to note how much they cost, as compared to a coaster, they're a lot cheaper. But at 301 feet, they're a pretty big attraction. And so, what do you think of the Windseekers?
They're good. I mean, I like Skyscreamers better, but I mean, they're also pretty fun.
So, what do you like about the Skyscreamers better?
It's just like you're held on an arm and you stay still, whereas Skyscreamers, you swing around.
So a lot more thrilling, especially if it's windy, and the irony of Windseekers not being able to handle any wind due to issues they had with seats crashing into each other. They cannot operate, even though they've gone numerous changes, they can't operate in windy conditions. And so it's kind of interesting with that as you say, that Windseekers are not as thrilling as Skyscreamers, the Six Flags models that are on chains. And it's just weird, the height issues. The Skyscreamers, you have to be 44 inches to ride the smaller versions. The taller ones, like at Six Flags New England and over Texas, the ones that are over 300 feet, they are 48 inches. So either 44 or 48, and comparatively, the Windseekers are what to ride?
52.
Right? How odd is that? So it's like a full 8-inch or 4-inch difference, and that could be 3-4 years for a lot of kids. So for a less thrilling ride, you have to be much older. It's just a weird thing, but obviously it's a restraint issue. And so for kids, that's really disappointing. And they're kind of nice that you get a great view, you're able to look around, and sad that for a lot of kids, they have to be potentially 8, 9, 10 years old to be able to do them. And that way I agree, it is a more boring ride. One of the things that freaks me out a little bit is as you're going up, there's kind of a rattling that happens as the tower reaches different levels. So that sound can be a little freaky heading up the tower, but otherwise, I like the music that they play, and I think that's sometimes kind of cool, the different music options that they have. So they're a good replacement for observation towers as they kind of go away, as a lot of them are past their useful working years at this point. So in that way, I kind of like them. But the odd thing is, we've done so few. We've been to so many parks that have them, but we've only done them once at King's Dominion. You remember doing once at Cedar Point, you said, right?
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, which I don't remember, but I believe you there. So we've never done it at Carowinds or Kings Island or Worlds of Fun, and it's just not something that we'll necessarily do, especially if there's any kind of line. Also, Canada's Wonderland, haven't done that one either. It's an okay ride, but still we like the Skyscreamers better.
Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Yeah!
For our tip of the day for this week, early season specials on websites. There are a lot of them right now, so check them out for tickets. I know Hershey Park has a pay kids prices deal that only lasts a little while longer. Cedar Fair has had a lot of different sales this spring, including ones that are going on now for just the next couple of days, of buy a ticket and get a second one for free. So for those of you who are getting season passes, this is a time to check out those kind of deals, as they won't be around for long. I know Kennywood always has an early season special as well, usually around the President's Week, that they have great deals as well. Just check out, if you know you're going to a place but aren't going to buy season passes, this is the time of the year before it gets too late to get those special deals at a lot of the parks that you love. So there is our tip of the day. So thanks so much for joining us for this really special episode. Give Kids the World is such a special place, and it's amazing the great work that they do for those kids. So check us out on Twitter and Facebook at Theme Park Fam. You can find us there with our posts, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and even check out our YouTube channel, as we're going to keep adding more and more videos as time goes on. As the parks open, we're going to start using our GoPro here pretty soon and add some at the park footage, and continue to do our skits from older episodes and turn them into videos as well. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll be back with you soon with a lot more episodes coming. Poor California's getting floods after years of an awful drought.
I hope it stops soon for everyone's sake, including Coaster Kids Andrew out.